Well, I was 2 years part-time, then I started full-time in 1985, and then was here full-time advised the paper for 10 years, and then stayed as department chair teaching journalism and building the program for 25 years full-time. And since I retired, I think in spring of 2010, I've been back twice to be department chair and have continued to teach one mass media and society class every semester.
And I was an instructional programmer analyst for the chemistry department. So I was writing instructional programs and running a computer lab for chemistry. And it was a very fun job. Did that for about 5 years. And when they found out I could fix computers, computers were just coming onto campus. And so I'd be pulled out of my job and would go around and fix other computers. So eventually they said, you know, we need to start a technology department. So before, all of the technology was done by district services. So Mike Estes and I formed the ITC. We were the first 2 employees of the ITC. So yeah, the Innovation and Technology Center. 28 3/4 years. And it's every one of them it's been entertaining to work here.
I know that you also taught. Can you talk about that?
Oh, yeah, it was, once again, Mike Estes was the electronics tech before we were made into the ITC. And he asked me, he said, would you be interested in teaching a microprocessor class? And they were using these kind of outdated, they were AIM-65 trainers. They were on a plastic board. And I said, why don't we use computers? So we went out and got donations, and we started what then was the electronic service technology, which now is the computer maintenance technology classes. And it started out as one class. Now it's a certificate with 4 separate classes. But,
how long did you teach?
Oh, it was an interesting story. I taught this summer. I'm doing the applied networking class. And a woman is in the class. She comes up and talks to me after class and says, do you remember me? I was like, no. She goes, I took your class 24 years ago, the very first class. And she brought her 16-year-old son with her.
I taught part-time until 1991. And at that time, an opening appeared in the Human Services Department, which was headed by the founder, Dick Wilson. And I was fortunate that I had been teaching part-time and interviewed, got the full-time position, which I held for 20 years until 5 years ago when I retired my full-time position and was chair for the last 8 years of that time. Beyond what I thought the positive experiences would be. When I initially taught in that crazy environment I mentioned earlier, I didn't know it would morph into the computerized world it is now, with my students taking notes in that fashion. My use of the computers in the classroom, how I have placed my lecture notes online for them. PowerPoint was something that would have been a fictitious, unknown entity, and how I've managed to adapt, I think, fairly well to that. And so that was my initiation. And then when, luckily, came on campus during these other years. I am continuing to teach part-time now, 1 or 2 classes for the last 5 years since my full-time retirement. And so 20 years full-time, 18 part-time, and possibly I'll make it at 2020. Yeah.
I'm still here. So I retired, about 12 years ago. And I still teach 1 or 2 classes a semester. Because of the area in which I teach, I have to keep learning new things. And I love teaching. I was destined for show business. That just didn't happen. So my students are my audience, and I love it. So my last full year, I was named Teacher of the Year here at Saddleback. Now I'm just teaching Introduction to Computing. And that's all about computers, a little bit of Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and Access, Windows, that kind of thing.
I've had one title, but multiple positions here at the college. When I came, they hired me as Dean of Advanced Technology and Applied Science. I was here about a year, and then they moved Com Arts under my division. I had AV Services, College IT, as well as the Cosmetology off-campus program, and the radio station, TV station, and whatever else they could handle. They gave me 17 committees to be on at that time also. So that was a challenging position.